Talk to fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.
Welcome, deep divers, to another insightful journey into effective communication. Today, we're taking a unique look at high-stakes speaking. We're using the structure of the IELTS Speaking Test, that global English exam, kind of as our framework. We've gathered some really illuminating observations. They break down not just what to say, but, how to approach the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole experience.
Exactly. From managing your time strategically, navigating common topics, even the sort of psychological side of performing under pressure.
And what's great is how we can pull out practical strategies from these examples. It's not just about an exam, right?
Right.
It's about using these insights to get better at organizing your thoughts, expressing yourself clearly, well, really in any important conversation, a job interview, maybe a presentation.
Or just a chat where you need to be clear.
Exactly. We're aiming to uncover some real nuggets of knowledge here that go way beyond just test-taking techniques.
Okay, let's dive in. First up, a really key element: time. Managing the clock when you're speaking, especially in a structured setting like this, it's just crucial.
Absolutely essential.
So we found some pretty specific guidelines for the different parts. For those shorter, direct questions you often get first, like in part 1, the idea is to aim for about 30 seconds per answer, keep it concise but complete.
Right. Not too short, not rambling.
Then there's the longer individual turn, that part 2 bit where you describe something. The target there is really hitting the full 2 minutes.
Yeah, consistently hitting it. We saw advice saying don't stop early at, say, 1 minute 30 if you've actually got more relevant things to say. Use the time.
Use the time you're given. And then for the deeper discussion questions, part 3, the sweet spot seems to be around 45 seconds to a minute.
Okay.
Enough time to give good examples, support your points, but without going off on a tangent for too long.
So that raises a big question, doesn't it? How do you actually develop that internal clock? You can't just guess.
No, you can't. And the advice we saw was pretty clear. Practice a lot with a timer right there.
Okay.
Answering tons of different questions. And gradually you start to get this intuitive feel for how long 30 seconds is, or a minute or 2 minutes.
So you're not constantly staring at the clock during the real thing?
Exactly. You internalize it.
Makes sense.
And get this, here's a really interesting strategy we came across, specifically for that 2-minute part 2 talk. You normally get a minute to prep, right?
Yeah, 1 minute to jot down notes.
Well, to make that minute feel really comfortable, even generous, in the actual test, the technique is to shorten your prep time when you practice.
Oh, interesting. How short?
Start with maybe 50 seconds.
Yeah.
Then push it to 40. Maybe even try 30 seconds sometimes.
Wow, okay.
So when you finally get that full 60 seconds in the real test, it feels like loads of time. It reduces the pressure.
That's smart. Kind of like training with weights on, then taking them off for the race.
Exactly that feeling. It gives you a confidence boost right when you need it. All right, so shifting from the timing, let's talk about the what's, the content. Our dive into various conversations showed some really common topics pop up again and again.
Okay, like what sort of things?
Well, daily routines came up. We saw one person describing their morning, waking up, phone time, skincare, making coffee or matcha.
The usual start to the day for many.
Right, but what was interesting was the reflection on it, how it changed since childhood, and this conscious thought about adding meditation for grounding. It wasn't just a list.
So connecting it to self-care and personal evolution, that adds depth, doesn't it?
Totally. It shows that even talking about something simple like your morning routine can reveal self-awareness, your values, how you're maybe trying to improve things.
That's a great point. It's not just listing tasks, it's the why behind them. Good communication insight there.
Then, kind of unexpectedly, the topic of flowers came up.
Flowers, okay.
Yeah. And it brought out some really personal feelings. Someone talked about really appreciating flowers, all the different types, colors, roses, tulips. Mentioned how people give them for birthdays, weddings, just as a thank you. Standard stuff. But then they expressed this really specific desire.
What was that?
To receive sunflowers. They'd only seen them in pictures, but were just amazed by how they looked.
Wow, okay. So even something you haven't directly experienced, but describing that desire vividly.
Exactly. It shows how specific details, even about a wish, can make your point really personal and memorable. That passion comes through.
That's a good takeaway. Passion and specific description applies anywhere, really.
Definitely. Okay, sticking with daily life food and cooking. This brought out a lot about habits, culture, even learning new skills.
Always a popular topic.
Yeah. One person was very honest, said they don't cook much themselves, but they love baking.
Ah, the baking angle.
Cakes, chocolate cakes, cookies. Found it fun, rewarding. They also admitted pretty candidly their diet wasn't always the healthiest, but they try to be mindful, especially thinking about metabolism changing with age.
That's relatable. Balancing enjoyment with health consciousness.
And they mentioned ordering food online maybe 2-3 times a week, but still preferring homemade when possible.
So that balance again between convenience and preference. And did we hear about actual cooking experiences?
We did. A really specific one. Making pasta arrabbiata.
Ah, classic.
It was a big deal for this person who hadn't cooked much, learned it online, got some help from a cousin.
Nice.
And the key things they highlighted, it was quick. They mentioned hating spending hours cooking, and it was delicious. Used organic tomatoes, made the sauce from scratch.
See, those concrete details, quick, delicious, organic tomatoes, from scratch they paint a picture. They convey the success and the person's priorities, speed and quality.
Exactly. And talking about cooking led naturally into a discussion about kids learning to cook.
Oh, yeah. What was the feeling there?
Strong feeling that it's important for kids to learn young, and ideally at home, parents guiding them with ingredients, techniques, a basic life skill.
Makes sense. Passing on those traditions and practical skills.
Which then sort of branched into thinking about professional chefs.
Okay, the other end of the scale.
Yeah. The general vibe was, wow, that looks like a really tiring job.
High pressure.
Dealing with tons of orders, different meals, pressure not to mess up. Intense.
Definitely. But did the influence of, say, celebrity chefs come up?
It did. Someone mentioned Gordon Ramsay, for example, how their personality, their quest for perfection, it actually intrigues people.
Right. It makes you want to try it yourself, even if you know you can't match it.
Exactly. It inspires people to maybe try making those fancy dishes at home, even just for fun.
So that whole food topic, it just sprawls, doesn't it? From simple home baking to kids learning to the pressures of the pro kitchen and celebrity influence.
Shows how layered a seemingly simple topic can be.
Absolutely.
Okay, changing gears now. Entertainment. We looked at TV and books.
Right. How people relax or learn.
One person said they used to watch more TV, but now, being a student, it's maybe only twice a week. Prefers comedies to de-stress.
Common way to unwind.
They also made an interesting cultural note, saying that in Italy, you don't see as many sitcoms like Friends. It's more telenovelas, those long-running dramas.
Ah, interesting difference. And the internet's role.
Huge impact, obviously. Much easier now to watch shows whenever, wherever, on things like YouTube. Changed viewing habits completely.
No doubt. And reading.
We heard from an international relations student, reads a ton for studies like up to 100 pages of articles a week.
Wow, that's intense.
So less time for leisure reading. Prefers ebooks now, or borrowing physical books like the eco-friendly aspect.
Practical choices. And the benefits of reading.
Clearly stated. Learning about the world, discovering things about yourself, developing critical thinking, sparking imagination, all the good stuff. And an interesting thought, maybe people who say they dislike reading just haven't found the right subjects yet, the things that actually grab them.
That's a great point. It's about finding your niche, isn't it? Whether it's reading for study or pleasure, relevance and interest are key. Connects back to communication, make it relevant.
Good connection. Okay, final big topic area. Companies and work.
Okay, the professional world.
We heard about Samsung, huge Korean company, right?
Yeah.
Interesting origin story. Founder started by selling rice cakes. Shows real determination.
From rice cakes to global tech giant. Wow.
But the flip side, the working environment described as super competitive, really tough, rigorous interview.
Oh, stakes, high pressure.
And what makes Samsung stand out is just the sheer range of stuff they make. TVs, fridges, phones, everything.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Did this lead to broader thoughts about big corporations?
It did. Someone voiced an opinion, maybe a bit critical, that large companies often get wealthy by, quote, exploiting people.
Okay, a critical perspective.
Contrasting that with smaller companies, which might be less competitive, less pressure, but they struggle more now, economically.
Right, the current climate is tough for small businesses.
So the perception, right or wrong, is that working for a big company, despite the toughness, feels kind of safer for many people right now.
Interesting tension there between ethics, pressure, and security.
And then looking at Italy specifically, big companies there are often food-related, like Barilla Pasta.
Ah, tying into the culinary culture.
Exactly. Because of those strong traditions, high standards for food, even luxury brands like Ferrari, while successful, are seen as maybe less representative of everyday Italian life. more for the super wealthy. Doesn't quite fit the simple food, simple life idea as much.
Fascinating how culture shapes the perception of companies. So grounding discussions about work in specific examples and cultural context makes it richer.
Definitely. And then shifting to the ideal company.
Oh, yeah. What came up?
One person aimed high. In international organizations like the UN or Amnesty International.
Okay, mission-driven work.
Yeah, focus on areas like climate change
Yeah.
or human rights issues like North Korea. Why? A real desire to make a difference, to raise awareness, challenge stereotypes, political, environmental, health stereotypes, and ultimately, change minds through discussion and working together.
That really shows how personal values drive everything, doesn't it? Career goals, communication goals. When you talk about something you genuinely care about, that passion just comes through, makes the message powerful.
Absolutely. Whether you're describing your ideal job or just arguing a point.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've covered time, topics, examples, company culture. Let's bring it back to the test experience itself.
Yeah.
How does all this feel when you're actually doing it? We got to look at someone's reflection after taking a speaking test.
The post-mortem. Always insightful. What was the main feeling?
Well, first off, they said they felt pretty comfortable overall. Not particularly nervous.
That's huge. Being comfortable is half the battle in high-stakes communication. Probably comes from good prep and knowing what to expect.
Probably. But despite that comfort, they pinpointed the hardest part, that extended turn, part 2.
The 2-minute talk strikes again. Why was it hard for them?
2 things mainly. Organizing thoughts under pressure in that 1-minute prep time. And then, while speaking, battling that self-doubt about factual accuracy.
Oh, that inner critic. Am I saying this right? Is this fact correct?
Exactly. That voice can be really distracting. Even if you're generally prepared, it can throw you off.
Yeah, that makes sense. Part 2 demands that structured thinking and confident delivery, all timed. It's a unique pressure point. It really tests your ability to synthesize and articulate on the fly.
For sure. But interestingly, the easiest part for this person,
What was it?
part 3, the final discussion section,
Really? Why?
because it felt more like just a normal conversation.
Oh.
They could give more personal opinions, respond naturally, without feeling like they had to hit specific points or stick to a rigid structure. It just flowed better for them, more relaxed.
That's really telling, isn't it? It reinforces that while structure and preparation are absolutely vital, especially for something like part 2, being able to engage in a natural, authentic dialogue, bringing in your own perspective confidently, that's also a massive strength. Sometimes just relaxing into the conversation is key.
Yeah, letting your personality come through a bit.
Yeah. Exactly. Genuine interaction can really make a difference.
So this whole deep dive, it really shows that doing well in speaking, whether it's an exam or just, life, it's way more than just knowing words.
Oh, much more.
It's about managing time smartly, being able to talk about different things, using relevant examples, understanding the flow of interaction.
Knowing when to structure, when to converse.
Right. And adapting.
And I think the big takeaway is just the sheer power of practice, consistent practice, and self-awareness, knowing your strengths, knowing where you get stuck, and then approaching conversations, all conversations, with a sense of clarity and hopefully growing confidence. The more you do it, the more natural it feels.
Letting your actual voice come through.
That's the goal.
Well, remember, everyone, every chat is a chance to learn and get better. Keep those insights coming. And we'll see you later in Talk to Fluency YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Thank you.
Talk to Fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.